It is now my honor to introduce you to Arun Alagappan. Arun is president and founder of Advantage Testing, president of the Board of Trustees of the Advantage Testing Foundation, and co-creator of the Advantage Testing Foundation Math Prize for Girls competition. Arun graduated Phi Beta Kappa from Princeton University and went on to graduate from Harvard Law School, where he served as editor of the Harvard International Law Journal. While at Harvard, Arun was also an instructor in the math department, and he was awarded a certificate of distinction for outstanding teaching of undergraduates from the Dean of Harvard College. Soon after, Arun came to his senses and realized that his true calling was as an educator, and in 1986, he founded Advantage Testing. Arun was one of 7 educators featured in New York Magazine's The Influentials, a cover story identifying more than 200 professionals whose ideas, power, and sheer will are changing New York. In 2011, he was profiled in the Wall Street Journal for helping to find the next generation of leaders who will bring diversity, new ideas, compassion, and a different kind of leadership to institutions. Arun has personally tutored, mentored, and guided thousands of students throughout their academic careers, myself included. He has made outstanding tutoring available to thousands more through the Advantage Testing Foundation's partnership with such programs as LEADA, the Leadership Enterprise for Diverse America, and Prep for Prep, and through its own flagship programs, our Math Prize for Girls and Trials, the Training and Recruitment Initiative for admissions to leading law schools. So, a warm welcome to the Trials and LEADA students here with us today, and a very warm welcome to my friend and mentor, Arun Alagappan.
Hi, everyone. This morning, I briefly considered suspending my annual tradition of beginning the Advantage Testing Foundation Math Prize for Girls ceremony with a corny math joke. But then I realized you'd all be devastated. I know that for many of you, the jokes, not the exam, the awards, the trophies, not even your new friends, the jokes are the highlight of the weekend. So I decided to tell you a story about an odd experience I had yesterday morning. I was sitting on a bench by the Charles River, memorizing some literary terms, such as onomatopoeia, simile, and metaphor, when suddenly, out of the blue, I met a 4. She was carrying a pot of polynomials, but they had wilted because they had imaginary roots. So this 4 and I got along pretty well at first, but when I began subtracting other numbers from her, she felt I was diminishing her, and it became clear that we had our differences. That's when the 4 decided to take her own cube root, and I said, "Stop it, you're becoming irrational." But she said it was my fault and was determined to get even. She turned her back on me in a huff and leaned away, to which I responded, "Now you're just being obtuse." Okay, some of you may think that that last pun was particularly awful, but if you think about it, it's actually kind of a cute pun. All right, enough. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to the 5th Annual Advantage Testing Foundation Math Prize for Girls. That's right, the Math Prize for Girls is now in its 5th year, and I hope you return contenders will agree that every year this gathering gets bigger and brighter and better. For the past 5 years, we've been awarding the largest math prize for girls in the world, a prize MIT has called the preeminent math prize for girls in the nation. For the past 5 years, you've been sharing insights, encouraging one another's ambitions, and forging lifelong friendships. For the past 5 years, you've also been defying stereotypes and asserting new models for success. I'm proud of you. Exactly 275 of you traveled from 36 states from around the country and from 3 provinces in Canada to take part in today's contest. We are once again touched by the warm hospitality of our friends at MIT. Since we first brought this competition to Cambridge 3 years ago, Ravi and I and everyone at the AT Foundation have been delighted to partner with MIT in delivering such an important, fun, and memorable event. I hope you'll take a few minutes later on to review today's program, in which we've listed the many volunteers and contributors to whom we're grateful. I do, however, want to say a special thanks to MIT professor Nancy Hopkins and her colleagues for welcoming us to this world-renowned Center for Advanced Mathematics. The history of mathematical endeavor and accomplishment here are tangible and uplifting. Advantage Testing's math director, Dumbledore to our mathematical Hogwarts, Dr. Ravi Bopanna, a modest man with an astonishing intellect and a soaring spirit. MIT Math Department Chair Michael Sipser, who serves on the Board of Advisors to the Advantage Testing Foundation Math Prize for Girls. Our keynote speaker, Princeton University's Dr. Corina Tarnita, Dr. Tom Layton and the Akamai Foundation for their continued and generous support, Maria Devuano-Homburg, who became Associate Director of the Math Prize for Girls last October and has brought skill, energy, organization, purpose, and immediate distinction to her role. Maria's predecessor, Dr. Mary O'Keefe, whose vital and ongoing contributions have been critical in establishing this event as not just a competition, but as a celebration and aspiration and success. Our MCs, outstanding AT Foundation trustee Lauren Frank, who spent 6 years in Cambridge, earning a bachelor's and an MBA from Harvard, and Math Prize alum and MIT student Kate Rudolph. All of our Advantage Testing and MIT volunteers, Dr. Stephen Wolfram and Wolfram Research for once again providing copies of the mathematical software application to all of today's contestants. Finally, a heartfelt thanks to the mothers and fathers, teachers and coaches, mentors and siblings, those in this room and those who have been there along the way for everything you've done to support our extraordinary contestants and help them get here today. Thank you and welcome to you all. We've gathered today at this great university in this great educationally minded state of Massachusetts. Many of you probably read the article in last week's New York Times reporting that Massachusetts students ranked first in the nation and near the top of international performers on the 2011 TIMSS International Math and Science Assessment. How did Massachusetts perform so well? Well, in part, by instituting a more rigorous and comprehensive achievement test as a requirement for high school graduation. Massachusetts' leadership in this arena reinforces one of Advantage Testing's founding principles, that well-constructed tests offer powerful opportunities for students to learn and to achieve. And that's why at the heart of the AT Foundation's Math Prize for Girls lies a uniquely challenging and, we hope, inspiring test. Every 5-year milestone offers an opportunity to reflect, and in the weeks leading up to today, I've been reflecting on what brought us to this point. Why did we start offering a math test for girls? In part, because Ravi and I entered math competitions in high school. And though I'm quite certain Ravi did a hell of a lot better than I did, we both enjoyed these competitions. In fact, both Ravi and I love tests. So that's why a test. But why a test for girls? Well, for me, another personal reason. My first experience teaching was in high school when I tutored a young woman who was struggling to stay afloat in her geometry class. In our first meeting, Eleni blurted out that she wasn't any good at math. We began working through her textbook, and I introduced her first to some basic properties of angles. Then we moved on to triangles, quadrilaterals, other polygons, and circles. With each topic, I gave her 3 or 4 problems to exercise what she had just learned. She answered every one of them correctly. About an hour and a half into our session, I paused and said, "You just flew through 23 math problems without missing a single one. How can you say you're no good at math?" And for a moment, she looked puzzled. Then she simply smiled, a bright smile that radiated confidence and understanding. And that smile filled me with the joy that inspires me to this day. I ran home from that first meeting like a character from a hokey teen movie, leaping through the streets, hyperventilating, and pumping my fist in the air. This discovery of a work that I knew I loved that helped someone else find fulfillment overwhelmed me. Later, I learned to identify what I had experienced that afternoon as a professional calling, and I have carried a profound sense of gratitude and awe to work with me ever since. It was that feeling that had inspired me to establish Advantage Testing, then the Advantage Testing Foundation, and ultimately, with my good friend Ravi, the Advantage Testing Foundation's Math Prize for Girls. But the broader reason that Ravi and I felt this prize was necessary is that our nation desperately needs gender equality in STEM professions, and that begins with achieving gender equality in math performance. Each year, new studies emerge demonstrating that the nations that perform the best on international science and math assessments are those nations in which the girls perform as well as or better than the boys. Likewise, the nations that have the smallest gender gap at the upper echelons of leadership in technology and engineering are the most innovative and successful in these fields. But for all of us here today, that's just basic common sense. The notion that the best mathematicians, the best scientists, the best engineers, and the best leaders should be disproportionately male might be laughable if it weren't so dangerous. How can we hope to derive the greatest value from our most precious human resource if more than 50% of our talent pool is systematically discouraged from even taking part in the process? Only by nurturing the leading candidates from every background and from among men and women can we hope to cultivate true leadership in the fields most critical to our nation's future. We now know the negative effects that math anxiety can have on young women. A recent University of Chicago study showed that female students who are presented with negative gender stereotypes can experience a dampening effect in even their non-math subjects. Another study revealed that women teachers who exhibit math anxiety pass that anxiety onto their students like a virus. And so we need outstanding girls like you to expose the lie that girls have no business doing math, a view that is equal parts absurd and terribly destructive. Your presence here today represents a boisterous refutation of all those who would dare you to succeed. And do I expect all of you to shatter the glass ceilings you encounter and lead this nation to a profoundly better future? Yes. Because finally, the main reason we started the Math Prize for Girls is for you, our extraordinary, inspiring contestants, and for what you will do to improve the world. So connect with heroes and role models who will inspire you along the way. Role models such as our keynote speaker, Dr. Tarnita. Role models such as the Advantage Testing Foundation's newest trustee, Shirley Tilghman, former president of Princeton University and a world-class scientist. And MIT's former president, Susan Hockfield. Role models such as MIT's current president, Raphael Reif. Who says a girl can't have a man for a role model if he's as inspiring as someone like Dr. Reif? We need you to establish a community to forge enduring bonds with peers who will challenge you to achieve new heights, who will celebrate your triumphs with you, and who will have your back when you need an ally. Because as you've heard before, girls, defendit numerus. There is strength in numbers, and your numbers are increasing. You have achieved your earliest successes in mathematics, a field that many of us consider to be the purest, most creative, most challenging discipline in which the human mind can engage. Whether from quaint paternalism or a sly progressivism, Proclus Lyceus, a 5th century Greek philosopher, adopted a feminine pronoun when he wrote, and I quote, This, therefore, is mathematics. She reminds you of the invisible forms of the soul. She gives life to her own discoveries. She awakens the mind and purifies the intellect. She brings to light our intrinsic ideas. She abolishes the oblivion and ignorance which are ours by birth, unquote. And going forth, we expect no less from you, girls, than we do from math itself. Give life to discoveries, awaken minds, bring ideas to light, and abolish ignorance wherever you go.